Welcome to round one of the four-player single elimination match featuring Cookie, who is playing the part of the Empire, and Wombat, that is playing the role of the Evil Rebellion. Here you can see Cookie is deploying. He's got a deployment style he likes here, which I think is fun to point out to people. He likes to stick an ATST with the Death Star, covered by 4 or 5 TIE fighters. And he also likes to group like dice together often. But I think here he's got one major fleet up in Rhodia, one in Mandalore, one in Mustafar, sort of spreading things out around the board. I'm going to do my a deployment with 3 troopers in Utapau to help to guarantee a build alliance on here. Those of you that have watched my other videos know that my Rebel game is not as strong as my Imperial game, so I will actually pass on Saw Gerrera here, drawing Dodonna's card instead. Not quite what I was hoping for, but I really like Mothma's card, so if I don't draw that with Saw, I usually like to fish for it. I like Saw in some instances, but he's a little too risky. I'm a bit overmatched here playing Cookie, so I can't afford to take a whole lot of risks right off the bat. The way I like to play Rebels is I like to look at objectives and try to predict what objectives are coming up, and then use my missions to score those objectives. The more objectives you score, the earlier you can end the game, and the less you have to, the shorter of a battle you have to sort of survive. So here the big question is, do I keep Leia back to block gather intel, or do I use her to do all 4 starting missions? So that's what I'm going to go here. Cookie, you can see, is going to use Tarkin on a mission, and then also Vader. So Vader suggests probably a capture. Tarkin, you have to worry about, is it fear will keep them in line, which is just a backbreaker card early on. So Vader could be on rule by fear. I'm going to go ahead and drop an infiltrate into Corellia right off the bat. That way, if it is a rule by fear, then I have something to block. If it's a capture, he's probably going to get him anyway. I could have put Leia on infiltrate. That might have been the better leader to put on there. I got a good option with Regional Aid, but I already have Support of the Hutts. And Regional Aid and Support of the Hutts, even though they're both loyalty missions, are kind of hard to score both of those. So I will pass on Regional Aid and go for Decisive Victory instead. Got a lot of troops in the base, so I have a reasonable chance of scoring Decisive. All right, Yen is captured by Vader here, and then I can follow up. I don't necessarily want to do Build Alliance right now, because if I do, and Tarkin has fear will keep them in line, he can strip both Utapau and Naboo with a movement here. So instead I will just Rapid. That kind of passes everything back to the Empire. He's going to move a Star Destroyer with the Emperor over Naboo, which really pushes towards fear will keep them in line. So I'm going to test what he's got by doing a sabotage on a loyal system right here. I'll go ahead and sabotage Alistair, or Mustafar, to block a carrier. So if Tarkin's on R&D, then he gets the carrier back. Turns out Tarkin's on rule by fear. He's going to go ahead and get that Star Destroyer build. That's kind of a good combo doing Vader there, because even if I had Leia back to block, we'd still be rolling 3 Imperial dice versus 2 Rebel dice for that move right there. So now that I know it's not fear will keep them in line, I can go ahead and build alliance in Utapau. He's not going to block that because I have the extra 2 dice. And then Tag will move to Ord to replace that that assault carrier build that I blocked in Mustafar. All right. When rapiding, I like to rapid early sometimes, not as many as other Rebel players that I play. But rapiding early gives you an idea of cards that are on the bottom of the deck. And I'll point out there we saw Dantooine and Ryloth. So good to keep that in mind for when you're doing a late rapid later on in the game. It's always a good idea to write any probes down you have in order, even in groups of 4, even though you're shuffling them in, because it gives you some intel for moving later on. All right. Building, Cookie did let me get a fair number of troops out, and then one Moncal. It's not terrible, but we'll go ahead and go with it. Cookie deploys his troops in a way where Utapau's probably going to get overrun here. So I need to decide on how to defend it and if I want to defend it. Putting one Vanguard in Utapau gives me an ability to kill an ATST with the Vanguard card. I'm also going to deploy a couple of troops around here in this game, kind of threaten the idea that I might have, defend the people or something like that. All right, so Cookie's just kind of spreading his guys out here. And I've got a captured Yan, or John, or however you want to say his name. And then you can see I did not draw any rescue cards. I do have an Incite Rebellion. So I can potentially use Incite Rebellion to free Dodonna, but it's going to be pretty expensive to do that. I would have to build alliance in Corellia and then win the 3v2 battle for freeing Dodonna. I can help improve my odds by doing an infiltrate or a sabotage with Maydeen there previously. I could also use Maydeen's card to free Dodonna, but that seems too expensive at the moment. That's too good of a card to risk to just lose like that. All right, so we got Tarkin on a mission, we got Tag on a mission, so there's got to be an R&D in one of those two. The concerning thing is that they're both there. So again, it could be Tarkin's card, it could be the Address Delays card, could be any number of nasty logistics missions. So no need to think about blocking, so we're just going to go with our plan here. I got Threaten the Core, and we got Kill a Star Destroyer. So we'll keep the Star Destroyer card, we'll get rid of Threaten the Core, even though I may have 3 troops in Corellia at best at the end of this turn. It's going to be hard to score Threaten the Core. I don't have a hidden fleet to pump out last minute, and I've also got a captured leader, so we'll go ahead and pass on that. Our first combat in Utapau, we've got a couple of one AT-AT and a couple of ATSTs. There's not actually a huge priority to kill the ATST, so I'm not going to play the Vanguard card. I will just try to block a hit and get lucky with some directs here. Anytime you have like walkers and ATSTs coming in together, the Imperials are going to be rolling a lot of dice, which means they have a pretty good chance of rolling a heal. They have 4 red dice off the bat, 2 rerolls with the Emperor, so the chances of them getting a heal is pretty good, so no need to waste a good combat card like that. Okay, build alliance. We're going to start it up. We'll flip that to neutral. They don't block that with Vader. Makes sense not to block it. Tarkin is probably not on his card, hopefully. We're going to find out here. Nope, he's on a rule by fear. So he can do that. And then we'll go ahead and do our Incite Rebellion. So 3v2, I do have Maydeen there for rerolls. I need to not hold back combat cards on this one because I've invested so much into this rescue that it's got to happen. So we do get 3 hits, wipe this 2 stormtroopers, use the blow up a trooper card, and then all 3 of my guys survive. That's good news. Dodonna is rescued. I will be back with my leader advantage next turn unless Tag is on a capture. So we need to be thinking here, we need to be thinking about like objectives. What are we going to score? So you'll see we have stolen plans here. We have contingency plan, which could be good for loyalty, but I got a lot of loyalty I need to get on support of the Hutts. So more likely what we'll do here, you can see Tarkin with the R&D, more likely what we'll do is we'll play stolen plans. I like to do that in... take quick notes here. So we'll add Tatooine to that list as a potential place for moving. Tatooine, Dantooine, Ryloth, all in the bottom 8 cards. Okay, so we'll play Secure the Plans next turn when I can go through my level 2 objectives. Sometimes you get really good level 2 objectives that you don't want to infiltrate. Other times there's not good level 2 objectives. So by using stolen plans kind of at your level 2 angle, you can decide how heavily you want to infiltrate. And here I've got an interesting conundrum. I've got Akbar, which is a really good space card, and I have the Star Destroyer objective card. And I also have Chirrut, it's a really good card, which can be good for winning a decisive victory, or potentially killing a Star Destroyer if it's hanging out with a carrier or a couple of TIE fighters. I'm actually going to pick Chirrut's card here. I don't know how I feel about that, but we're going with it anyway. Partially because I have Demolition and I need some fist icons for that. So we're going to go with Chirrut. So let's think about what we can score here. Can we score support of the huts? We cannot. Do we have a good spot for a decisive victory? Not really. I mean, we could try attacking Seleucami. I guess I never pointed out the bases in Kessel in case you missed that earlier. They might stumble into the base, at which point we could probably score the decisive that way. So we're just going to kind of go with basics here. We're going to look at objective cards with stolen plans. We're not going to infiltrate at the same time because we'll just put the card that we want on the top of the deck and then we'll infiltrate later. We'll get another Moncal on the queue here and hopefully maybe pull that Star Destroyer away from Kessel by putting a Moncal on the board and Mothma in a spot out there. All right. Leia's going to stolen plans. Mothma's going to put a Moncal on the board. Riken's building alliance, and Chirrut is going to blow up a Star Destroyer with Rogue Squadron. So we can Rogue Squadron this turn, and we can demo next turn. And then I had left Maydeen out, so Maydeen is going to do a sabotage. Jan is back to block in case he decides to do a gather intel. Don't think he will. He did grab Yularen, so that's something to keep in mind. And he's got no fist leaders on missions, so no captures, so we don't have to play around that this turn. All right, so what to do? Early things are good. Powerful cards early are good, especially if you can punish them for blocking it. So doing Rogue Squadron raid in an area where he has a Star Destroyer he wants to move means if Vader does block Rogue Squadron raid, then he doesn't get to move his fleet. So he let it go through, lost a Star Destroyer, then used Vader to move to Geonosis. Wants to cover Ryloth, makes sense. Okay, next move here. We're going to go ahead and stick a Moncal on the board. Now, it's a build turn, so it may be worth it to build Alliance, to build the loyalty out there instead. The idea is if I put the Moncal there and then he doesn't cover it, then I can build Alliance and Moncal as well and put another Moncal on the board during the build queue. So I'm kind of encouraging him to move to Moncal at this point, either with the Assault Carrier or the Star Destroyer. We're going to drop Leia because she has the automatic 2 points in Vader's territory with the idea of maybe I want to sabotage Geonosis. Let's look at these. We've got Raid Outposts, got Rebel Cell. I like both of those. Time for Peace I don't like. Heart of the Empire I don't like, especially with the Death Star there. So this turn we want to draw Raid Outposts, especially because we have Riken's action card. It's almost going to be a free movement. Next turn I want to draw Rebel Cell. And then at that point, if I put Rebel Cell second, then I don't have to infiltrate. And if I can protect Rebel Cell, then I don't need to infiltrate further because I can just discard missions for free points. So we'll go ahead and give that a try. So Raid Outposts on top, Rebel Cell following up tomorrow. We also have Time for Peace, so that's something else to think about. Typically a pretty bad objective requires lots of planning to get that pulled off and lots of sacrifice. So probably not going to do it, but you never know. All right, Yularen down to Bespin. That means he's looking to cover either Endor or Hoth, which makes sense. I could sabotage Geonosis is probably the right move here and just roll for it. But instead I'll go for Utapau and just prevent that Assault Carrier from being built. Especially because he could pull a double loyalty off here with Tarkin. He does Address Delay, so he gets the Star Destroyer on the queue anyway. Now I will place Jan in Corellia because if I decide to build Alliance there, I can have extra efforts. And then Emperor is going to strip loyalty out of Naboo and Utapau. All right, now I've got my build alliance. I should be building alliance either, well, if I build it in Moncal or I build it in Corellia, he can move in for an attack. So instead, I decide to risk it and go for loyalty in Nalhada. At that point, Gerard doesn't need to subjugate anything, so he could just roll to block it. So if I build the alliance in Corellia, then the Death Star just hovers over Corellia and crushes it. If I win the roll here in Nalhada, I'll come out ahead, but I should have put Dodonna in there in the first place. Now, Riken bails me out with a lightsaber roll, so I do get it, and then pull raid outposts. So we'll go ahead and draw cards. I should be showing raid outposts to Cookie right now. I'm going to go ahead and grab Wedge. I like 1 in a million. It's a great card for lots of things besides blowing up the Death Star. Cookie on turn 4 is going to be building 2 shield bunkers to block the Death Star up. He has all the loyalties that he can get to give him shield bunkers. He's got Seleucama, he's got Bespin, so he'll be able to pump out 2 of those this turn. So even though I drew plan the assault, I don't plan on being able to pull that off on the Death Star this turn. I'll put the capital ships in the base, try to stack up and defend Ryloth here, and then drop a Y-Wing in Nalhada to maybe blow up that assault carrier that's floating around. And 2 shield bunkers in the Death Star. You can see he dropped a raid outpost, 1 on Ilum, 1 on Hoth. So I'll be able to nab one of those right away with Riken. And had I drawn a hidden fleet, I could have grabbed both of them. So had I had a hidden fleet, maybe I go with a U-Wing in the base instead, and then Riken's card to grab Ilum, hidden fleet to grab Hoth. Instead, I just have Riken's card to grab Ilum, so we'll go ahead and do that. The reason why you want to grab Ilum and not Hoth is if I grab Hoth, he can move in with the Star Destroyer and use the Star Destroyer card to capture Riken. Too easy of a thing for him to pull off there. Okay, we've got Demo with... I have to have 2 heroes on it because I don't have a 3-fist hero. And then I've got Dodonna and Mothma on loyalty missions. Nope. Dodonna on plan the assault. Yep, okay. And then I'll run an infiltrate too. So the idea here being I need to kill a Star Destroyer, right? We need to be scoring objectives here. So having planned the assault, you should think, how can I score an objective with this? I do not have Death Star plans, and not only that, I know the Death Star plans are the last level 2 condition I have here. Okay, what did we just see? We saw Boba Fett probably on a capture, and then the Emperor on a mission. All right, so we're going to attack in with plan the assault. We're going to roll for it. We're going to roll great here. Yularen cannot block it, and we're going to go for the Star Destroyer kill. That's my thought process here. Also, what objective do we have coming up? We have Rebel Cell. So anytime you know Rebel Cell's coming up, you got to think to yourself, where can I get Rebel loyalty that the Imperials can't get to? Well, if I pull off the Star Destroyer kill here, there's not other ships anywhere nearby around that can help. So he's going to block hits. I will also block hits and then do damage to the Star Destroyer. Now this is pretty expensive, and again, had I picked Akbar instead, I could have stacked him on this mission as well, played his card, and then prevented those blocks. That being said, I still do 2 damage to the Star Destroyer, so he's at 4 total. He needs to roll a heal here. And he's going to debate on whether or not to use both dice or just the 1. He's only killed 1 Y-Wing, done a damage. No, he doesn't do a damage because I block it, so he'll re-roll that for a heal, I imagine. And then unfortunately, we're not going to get the Star Destroyer kill bonus here, which is what I need. Yularen's going to roll a heal, allow the Star Destroyer to escape. And then I will have at least blockaded Geonosis, and I'll be able to drop Rebel Cell fairly comfortably on Ryloth, unless Boba's on Planetary Assault. So Cookie will retreat here. One thing he could consider, if he wanted to, was he could leave the TIE Fighters, play the TIE Fighter card, but chances are he doesn't get through that Moncal. All right, Gerard's going to go ahead and cover Hoth. That prevents me from using a hidden fleet, although I don't have anybody on that this turn. It's a good move regardless. And then here we're going to attack the assault carrier. We're going to use an ion cannon. Wedge has got a reroll too. Not planning on using 1 in a million. So this is off of Nalhutta now. So Gerard moves to Hoth. I attack Bothwy. Do 1 damage, and then I just need a second roll here to have a hit. And Wedge misses, and then re-rolls for a hit. So then 1 in 6 chance of healing. And no heal. Okay, Y-Wing's dead, Assault Carrier's dead. Now Hutta is safe for the moment. And now the fleet on Seleucuma is going to have some additional decisions to try to make here. Alright, Tag is attacking into Riken. Okay. Now the fact that he's using Tag means likely that Boba is on a capture, because use Tag to add the extra, Red Fist in there. That's a good thing to think about if you're doing a capture as Imperials, and I'm talking as Imperials here, or even as Rebels. You want to stack your leaders on top of each other if they're going to be able to attempt missions that have complementary skill sets in there. So putting Tag where you want to capture later, you roll 4 dice instead of 3 dice, and sometimes that extra dice can make the difference between lucky rolls and not. So the combat's won, Rebels are defeated. I have an infiltrate here. I need to decide who to protect. I can either infiltrate where Wedge is to make him non-capturable, or I can infiltrate where Riken is, which still makes him capturable. Now, the infiltrate there in general was not a very good idea, because I knew I had Rebel Cell coming up, but I guess it is what it is. I didn't have a whole lot of better things to play. I could have probably... anyway, hindsight. So Tarkin moves off to Cato. I've got a demo to run here. That would be the next card to run. I need to consider, is there what I want to demo on anything else? I don't, so I'll just do it on Utapau. If Vader decides to block it, that's okay by me, because that means Vader's not moving the fleet on Salakami, or Seleucami, but no block, so I'll just get the free kills there. And then Vader, or no, let's see what's coming up next. Yep, Fett's going to pull off the capture, 4v1. Riken is likely to get punished here shortly. As the Imperials, sometimes don't overthink who to capture. Pretty much any rebel you capture is bad for the rebels. Even though Riken doesn't have an amazing stat set, he's got logistics. So because I don't have Akbar, I'm low on logistics. So Mothma is now one of my only logistics people. No Cassian, no, if I want to run a rapid, I've got to use Mothma now. Okay, she can build Alliance somewhere. It's not a build turn, so I just need to think about what I want him to do. I would like him to move his Star Destroyer away from Kessel, so I will build Alliance in Mon Cal, and instead he will move an Assault Carrier to Kessel, which is not what I expected. And the base is in Kessel, so I don't think that's what he expected either. We joke about that a little bit, but there it is. So because I didn't rapid, I don't have a leader there. I got to try to kill this Assault Carrier so that I can counterattack into the Star Destroyer next turn. I also flew the Mon Cal out of the base in order to not score an objective against a Star Destroyer, so that was bad. So this is pretty lightly defended base at the moment. Ground should go okay, so Vader's probably seen his last days here. It'll be nice if I can kill this carrier, and then I can try to regroup for next. It's pretty disheartening when the base is found this early after I've scored, pretty much 0 objectives, or 1 with raid outposts, and I'll score a decisive victory here, so we'll have 2 at the end of the turn, but I'm going to need to hold on pretty hard here for a while, so we're going to need to get pretty creative. You don't necessarily want to play the cancel card here, because Empire doesn't have great cards to play, so the just the block hits is a good one with the transport. It'll basically guarantee I block whatever he throws at me here, so that if he had rolled a black hit and a direct hit, that could have killed both X-Wings, or a red hit and a direct hit, that could have killed the Corvette. That would have been bad. So just make sure your things survive. And then we'll go for the confrontation here, just to try to eliminate Vader. I think that's too good to pass up on. I had already tossed my kill a Stormtrooper card, so I'm going to take 2 more damage here. Troops are going to be dead, and we'll fight back. Need at least 2 hits. I have no rerolls, and I roll nice, so Vader is wounded. Stormtroopers are dead. Assault carrier is going to most likely retreat here. And then now I need to come up with a counterpunch strategy, because since I did infiltrate instead of sabotage, I am now looking at things being deployed right outside the base, and I can't stop it. Had I kept a sabotage up or built alliance in Kessel maybe instead, that probably would have been too obvious. But all right, Emperor's up. He's going to do an intercept transmission. Okay, intercept transmission. Think about it this way. It's like a rapid for 8 cards. You just have to give up some of the cards back. So yes, you have to give some probes up, but pay attention to what else the Empire doesn't know about yet, right? So we've got Alderaan, we've got Dathomir. Oh, there's Dantooine. And then, so now we've got excuse me. We've got Dantooine, Alderaan, Tatooine, Ryloth, all eligible rapid spots. And we're going to need to be moving the base away here. You can get a good idea as what you can get from rapiding by counting the number of cards in the deck. So we'll go ahead and drop the Rebel Cell in over here in Ryloth. So we should get a build off of that cell here at the end of the turn. 1 more objective. All right, and then here's an interesting situation. So Millennium Falcon, not a great card. I mean, I could use it to rescue Riken. Point Blank Assault, often overlooked, but I've got kind of a fun combo here. So I'm going to take Akbar, and I'll walk you through my thought process once I start lining this up. So what do I need to do here? I need to defend Rebel Cell. That's all my eggs are kind of in that bucket right now. And maybe I can rapid to Ryloth. Maybe I can, hopefully I was hoping I would have drawn a hidden fleet, so I could have, maybe hidden fleeted the ships and tried to hold on. I don't know. Move to Ryloth maybe. This is where I get kind of discombobulated as a Rebel player, and you'll see some of that here. But regardless, I need to make sure I don't get like planetary assaulted in Ryloth, so a U-Wing could have been good there. However, I also need to attack into where that Star Destroyer is. I have some useful cards. I have Chirrut's card. I can use that to blow up the AT-ST. I could use that to blow up the assault carrier. I have Nadine and Akbar, which both can trigger point blank assault, right? So, like at this point, I need to figure out how to survive. So they drop an AT-AT and an AT-ST in there. If they charge into the base now, this Rebel force is toast. I have 2 wilds, 3 blacks, and a red. No way that holds up with 2 speeders. So I have to be as aggressive as I can into Seleucami. So here's how we're going to do it. We're going to drop Nadine to blow up the AT-AT. So we'll drop him in Seleucami. Now if I attack in, I'm going to get rerolls. I mean, depending on what I bring. But more importantly, get rid of that AT-AT. Okay. Now, if I attack in with a different hero, I can also play Point Blank Assault and have that apply to space and ground. So I don't need to attack in with Akbar. I can actually attack in with Wedge. Plus, since Riken is captured, I need Akbar to draw my 8 probe cards. Now, there's a 75% chance that Ryloth is in that next stack of probe cards, just based on the number of probes that are in the deck. So it's a pretty good chance if I draw 8 cards, especially if he does a mission where I think we might actually be a little less than that because we shuffled after intercept. But there's like a 50-50 chance Ryloth is in there. So I think there's 14 cards in the deck at this point, and I'll be drawing 8 of them. Okay, so Wedge is attacking in to Seleucami. Okay, we're bringing the Y-Wing and we're bringing the Vanguard from Kashyyyk. We're going to play Point Blank Assault. That drops the Star Destroyer health to 3 and the Assault Carrier health to 2. Then we need to flip the combat. Okay, we don't want Imperials healing. I don't want to cancel their card. It's more important that they not heal. And I need to leave the transport back in the base because if he's got planetary assault, we're screwed. So can't risk that.
So in terms of what combat card to play here, we have a couple of options. We can cancel their card, which will likely be a damage card, or we can flip the combat to make sure they can't take advantage of heals. They're rolling 3 red dice. I need to kill both these transports, so I can't afford to do anything else. I gotta flip the combat. These ships are all probably gonna die anyway. I do have an ace in my sleeve with Wedge that we might be able to take advantage of. We will see. So Empire's going to roll first. They unfortunately roll a ton of damage, and then are going to wipe everything on the map here. Keep in mind, point blank assault works both ways. So, Nebulon's only got 2 health. The Corvette's only got 1. That's kind of the trade for getting a 3 health Star Destroyer and a 2 health assault carrier. So pretty brutal. Everything got hit. I was hoping to have something left. We'll see how this roll with Wedge goes up here. So we're going to hit on everything but 2. So that's a great roll. 3 to kill the Star Destroyer, 2 to kill the TIE Fighters, and then I need 1 direct hit to kill the assault carrier. And I really need 1 heal to heal a fighter so I can blockade in case the land battle goes well. So I end up deciding to use 1 in a million here rather than to risk it. I need the base alive. I'm not planning on attacking the Death Star, so I think the correct move here is to bring out 1 in a million, set 1 dice to heal an X-Wing to blockade, and then a second dice to kill the assault carrier. So we're going to do that. So keep in mind, 1 in a million can also be for rescues. I mean, sometimes that can make a big difference, and you can even use that on ground combat if you need to as well. But this space combat was too important to miss. So we're gonna wipe the Imperials. Rebels survive by 1, and then on the ground combat, and then score Rebel assault. So on the ground combat, I've only brought 1 Vanguard that I had built in Kashyyyk with the idea of dropping the Vanguard card and hopefully rolling an additional hit for 3 total damage. Now keep in mind, point blank assault also works for the ATSTs as well. So we'll put 1 on each and we'll re-roll for a hit. And with a reroll, I've got a little 66% chance of getting it. So wound all 3. Hope they don't roll a heal here. And they do heal 1, so the trooper's dead. They have an ATST left, but really that was about as well as I could have hoped it was going to go. So we staved off the Imperial assault here. I still have a couple of troops left in Kessel. And here we go. So let's see what the Imperials have up next. So here is the card I was worried about for Planetary Assault, but it was actually a draw them out. Now that's bad for another reason. I was hoping to use Chirrut in the combat with the Star Destroyer that was likely to come into Geonosis. I could have used his card to wipe some TIE Fighters and then, potentially retreated out of Geonosis and kept the Mon Cal alive. Draw out kind of screws my plans a little bit there. As does secure the plan or retrieve the plans, which is what Vader just played on Riken. So I have a mess on my hands at the moment. Leia, I could have attacked the AT-AT in Geonosis, not for the purpose of winning, but at least for the purpose of getting a leader there to retreat against the incoming Star Destroyer, but instead I'm going for some lucky dice rolls in Bothui. It actually turns out pretty well. They do 3 damage, or Imperials do 3 damage. I roll a heal and a couple of direct hits. So, that's about as good as it gets. kill the ATST. And then I have a damage card here I can play as well. If I roll a crit, I can kill the second ATST. If not, I can at least still damage the, sorry, not the second ATST, the second trooper. But almost made it. One more round of combat, and then they're going to blow up with the 501st. They're going to kill my trooper. So, ended up with only one trooper left in Bothawui, which is good because Nal Hutta could actually hold out, unlike what I was originally planning. So I think that strategy went okay. The downside here is that I'm going to lose, or at least I'm going to have to deal with this fight with a Mon Cal with no leader in it against a Star Destroyer with way too many TIE fighters. So if we think about what this Mon Cal did, it attacked out with Plan the Assault, so I used a good card to not score an objective, to defend a rebel cell that I am not able to discard a card to because I've retrieved the plans. So this whole section right here is a disaster. And because I don't have any good combat cards left, I don't have a way of keeping this Mon Cal alive. So I'm going to need an extraordinarily good roll here. And Cookie does 3 extra damage, so 5 total damage to the Mon Cal, 1 to the Y-Wing. And nope, nothing to warrant another round. So everything's dead. I'm left with a dumpy combat card left in my hand. And is what it is. Okay, so this Mon Cal was a giant waste for the most part. Now, I need to think real hard about this established trade relations, and I do spend a fair bit of time thinking about it in the game. I've just edited it out. This is a good example of when things are not going well or according to plan. You need to really think about how you can win as rebels. So I build a Mon Cal with the idea that maybe I can wrap it around to Ryloth here, and maybe I can, I don't know what my thought is. What I need to be doing is thinking, number one, I need to rebel cell. I need to draw objectives, and I have Dodonna's card, so I can do that. I need to draw objectives, and I need to, to discard them into the rebel cell. So instead of putting a Mon Cal on the queue, I think I really should have considered getting a speeder. I also know I have Time for Peace coming up, so in case the rebel cell does fall, I could score an objective with that. But I just went for the big fluffy looking ship because that's what I like to do. All right. So yeah, when things are not going your way, even though you're going to feel frustrated, think about how you can continue to score objectives. So what I'm really hoping here is I think, well, I don't know, even if I was hoping to draw Ryloth, I think I was hoping to draw Ryloth, deploy to Ryloth, build in the base, and, get another Mon Cal there and have life be good. Instead, I draw Ilum, which is covered, Hoth, which is covered, Bothawui, which is covered, Endor, which is basically covered. I mean, it's free. I can move there. Felucia, which is not covered, so that's valid. Utapau, which is covered. Dathomir, which is uncovered, and there's not a whole lot around it. Or Tatooine. So keep in mind that I now know that those are cards he is not drawing. But none of those are great spots to move, in my opinion. He doesn't have anything deployed out directly next to me. So here we go. I also probably could have done established trade relations in Kessel, and just so I could have deployed the Mon Cal there and started to try to build up some forces again. I don't know. A little bit of a mess. So I need to be defending Ryloth. I would have loved to drop a speeder in there. That would have been good. I do draw hit and run. I have Time for Peace. I have the rebel cell I can use to defend. And then I choose to deploy the Mon Cal. That can't actually be what I do. It might be what I do. Anyway, it's not the right move. I should be deploying ground forces in Geonosis right now. Instead, I'm going for fleet. And yep, that is what I do. Look at me. All right. Well, I can't really defend that, except that, I think I'm going crazy right now is probably what's happening. Playing tilted. So again, I should have built ground forces, put them in Ryloth, tried to defend it to maybe score an objective, kept the Mon-Cal on the queue, or maybe even put it in Nalhada because he already played his TIE Fighter card, but I don't know. Is what it is. We're gonna rebel plan because I'm not sure this is the right move either because we know this last card is the Death Star plans because we didn't see it in the other 4 with Leia's. So now I have 2 cards to deploy in a rebel cell. So I think what I'm envisioning here is, we do a hit and run to kill an ATST. They move the other ground forces into the rebel cell, and then I use Chirrut's card to kill another ATST, or maybe I have this idea that, somehow I'm going to charge the Mon-Cal in and kill the Star Destroyer, even though I don't have the Y-Wing card. Just a mess. The whole thing's a mess. So, yeah, that's okay though. We're going with it. So we'll stick Mothma on Build Alliance. We'll stick Maydeen on Hit and Run. We're going to need to rapid here as well because the wheels could fall off very soon. And let's see. What else we got going here? We should be on a sabotage instead of an infiltrate probably, although I do need to get some objectives scored here pretty quick. And I don't really have any useful action cards left. All right, so let's see what the Empire is up to. Traitor Riken, who was turned to the dark side last turn, and the Emperor. Also proceeding as planned, so we've probably got some combination of, a construct factory that's probably under there, as well as a, maybe also an R&D, who knows, probably not. Could be Super Star Destroyer, all that type of stuff. So Wedge is going to do a hit and run. I don't know what I'm envisioning here, but we're going to kill that AT-ST, and then we're going to anticipate the Star Destroyer attacking in. We're going to use Chirrut's card to blow up the other 2 units and then maybe take down that AT-AT, even though I didn't deploy any ground troops in and basically only have rebel soldiers in there defending. So let's see. So there's Chirrut, and there's his card, and there's the Stormtrooper and the tank to go down. And then we've got a AT... Oh no, I guess that was an AT-ST. So we have a tank and we have an AT-AT to take down. That is possible. Maybe I'm envisioning the space to survive here, which could happen. He definitely has, more black dice, but the red dice are what's important here. So what I really need here is I need a heal for black. And I did get it and 2 damage on the Star Destroyer, so things are not looking good for the Star Destroyer at the moment. But I do need to win this ground combat. If I lose the ground combat, it is all for naught. So I'll do 2 damage here. Do it to the AT-AT. Now I need to score 2 direct hits out of 4 black dice and 2 red, or 3... Yeah, 3 black dice, 2 green dice, and 2 rerolls. So decent chance, and then I need him to not roll heals. So I will roll 0. Alright, so everything's alive. I need no red heals and no direct hits. And we've got 2 direct hits, 1 red heal, and a black hit. Okay, so that is pretty devastating over here. That's going to kill the 2 vanguards and leave me with just a couple of troops. I do have a chance in space still. So we've got 2 red hits, three red hits, and a black hit. So everything's blowing up here. And I had no card this turn because of his last space card. And I'll do 2 red hits and maybe get that heal going. 3. Yep. Okay. So we'll kill a TIE fighter, kill the Star Destroyer. That's pretty good. The unfortunate thing though is even though keeping the Mon Cal wasn't the important part, beating the AT-AT was the important part. And had I played, a speeder there, I could have opened with tow cables instead of the Vanguard card, and then, been in a little bit better position where I am right now. I would have killed the tank last turn and had Rebel Cell up. So again, when you're in a tight spot, if things aren't going your way, try to think outside the box. It didn't matter if the only reason it mattered if they were going to be, if the Mon Cal was going to be in Ryloth, is if I was going to rapid there, which I might have, but that was risky. The most important thing was being able to discard objectives so I could get there. If Cookie's going to be building and deploying, it doesn't matter if he's building and deploying near Kessel or building and deploying in Rhodia. So since I lost the Rebel Cell, I might as well move that Mon Cal out, and now that's 2 wasted Mon Cals that haven't been scoring objectives or been defending the Rebel base. All right, we're going to pull a rapid. There should be Ryloth in that pile unless he drew it last turn. And then we've got an incoming attack in Nalhutta, which again I deployed some troops here in Nalhutta and didn't actually do much with them. I do have the Y-wing card, so I can deploy another troop and then try to hold off best I can down in Nalhutta on the ground, which could be helpful. He's going to kill one. I'm going to deploy one, and it'll be 2-on-2 on the ground, and I won't have a very useful combat card to play. Okay, ship is dead. And then I'll play no heal in case he flips the combat, but much more likely he just does damage there. And that's it. All right, so I'm going for rerolls here. Okay, so one has 2 damage, one has 1. I need some directs here. Got 2. Got him. Yep, got the ATST left there to deal with. All right, probably better move would have been to move them out first and then done the rapid later. There was no real reason to force the rapid there. There was already Dodonna at the base, so again, kind of bad timing there as well. Finally building an alliance in Kessel, but a little bit too late since I already deployed that Mon Cal out to Ryloth that didn't do anything. I now cannot, if I had kept it on the queue, I could have also had the choice of deploying it to Kessel. So, is what it is at this point. So we got to be thinking about what we can do here. And then Medine being on Infiltrate instead of Sabotage, also probably not worth it. Now, I did have a bad level 3 card, so it ended up being okay, but Raid Factory was next. I would have been happy to draw that. It's too bad that Retrieve the Plans was pretty brutal there, because if you think about it, went through the effort of putting Rebel Cell towards the top of the Leia card, and then went through efforts to protect it and didn't score a single objective with it. So all of those were unfortunate. All right, so we've got a Super Star Destroyer on the queue that is moved up with Gerard's card, and then and now we've got the Emperor right outside the base. So we're going to be back with rapiding. We do have some decent options. We've got, Dantooine is still there, Alderaan is still there potentially. So we'll see what we draw. And right now the Empire is just finishing off loose ends. I'm going to gamble here. So he's attacking in with an assault carrier, and I want to limit the amount of troops he can put out. So I will try to roll for a crit here with the X-Wing. And X-Wing is very dead. Crit is very much not happening. Okay, so we've got a super on the way. We've got one assault carrier outside the base. And we've got a couple places, and we've got 2 assault carriers on the queue, it looks like, as well. Thank God we've been blowing up Star Destroyers and assault carriers with demo. And Construct Factory. Okay, so even if Maydeen was on Sabotage, the Construct wouldn't have done too much. It does let him get some ships on the queue, but probably too late at this point. Game looks like it'll be over in 1, 2, maybe 3 rounds if we're lucky, depending on how this goes. And we're going to get a capture on Wedge, which is also too bad, but we've already used his action card. Okay, you can see our rapid options there. Really, there's Dantooine, Alderaan, Selekami, Ryloth. It's got to be Dantooine. Yeah, it's got to be Dantooine. I mean, could try Alderaan, but it's right next to the Death Star. So Dantooine doesn't have any ships next to it, so he does have a super to destroy or to deploy, and he does have 2 assault carriers. Remember, he also thinks it could be in Tatooine as well. That's another one of the cards that we saw and didn't move to last turn. So luckily, the probes have been kind of in our favor, so I would say that's okay. So he's got to make the decision on where to deploy. Remember, he still has Yularen, and Yularen's been in a couple fights and hasn't played his bad action card, so most likely he's on local rumors. And since I deployed the Mon Cal last turn, I only have the fighter to deploy here. So imagine a scenario where since we are in Dantooine, would I be better off? I could be deploying, a Mon Cal and a Y-Wing, or a Mon Cal and a trooper here instead of just a trooper. But, is what it is. And had I stayed on Kessel, he would have been dumping too many ground forces into my location with 2 speeders and a vanguard to deal with. All right, so we have to see where he deploys and see how this plays out. I did draw Raid Factory, so in theory, if he were to put just an assault carrier on my Guido and I had a Mon Cal, I could attack out, score Raid Factory, and then that would help. I don't have any other good places to do that with, unfortunately. Also a good example of why sometimes you want to save your combat cards, like Incite Rebellion, to pull off a Raid Factory to score an objective. I could do it in Utapau, for example, and that would be an easy place to do it. So he does deploy the super in Ryloth, which is good. He deploys the 2 assault carriers in Megiddo, also good. I could be, again, I don't have any ships to attack in there, but it's I guess okay. So yeah, just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. All right, I'm going to go ahead and play some missions here. I do have plant false leads, so that would be great with rapid if I had a better plan for surviving here. Yeah, kind of what we got. So we'll put guys on missions. We'll see what Cookie has planned here. Interestingly enough, you can see I need to rapid and I need to plant false leads, and I only have Mothma and Akbar with tactics because Riken's captured and I didn't recruit anybody else with tactics values. So I'll separate them there. I will go ahead and do I'll go ahead and play a rescue card so I can draw another objective, and maybe it gives me some sort of way to get in there. Again, you can sort of see the concept. Had I defended Rebel Cell, maybe I don't know. It had a Mon Cal in the base, still probably lose to the super that would come out on Seleucami and then crush the base, but I will go ahead and live in this little fantasy I've created for myself for a little while longer where I have a chance to win. All right. Everybody's assigned. So again, thought process, we'll draw a level 3 objective. Maybe that gives me Return of the Jedi. Maybe he attacks into the base or somewhere where he loses somewhere on the map. And then maybe with the Emperor that scores me Return of the Jedi. So again, think of ways that you could win here. But yeah, Wolf gets intel to find out that the Rebel base is in Dantooine, because that's the only uncovered area here. So it's just a matter of what's he got there? An ATST and a Stormtrooper beat a Vanguard that doesn't have Take Them Down? Probably going to be the case. So we'll go ahead and rescue, draw an objective, see if we get Return of the Jedi. Nope, got another Death Star plans. Excellent. Tag coming in. We probably have, according to my design, or more dangerous than. Nope, we don't. Okay, flip the combat. I've got one Vanguard, 2 Stormtroopers. Survey says no, 1 Stormtrooper and an ATST, and no way to heal. All right, game, set, match. Round 1 goes to your favorite Cookie Monster. Your favorite Muppet Cookie Monster? I guess that's how that would be. All right, so takeaways from here. You know, there were some. I think I had a chance to win this if I think through a little bit differently some of the strategies here. So think about how to score your objectives, and if you're going to go something for like Rebel Cell, really think about in advance how you're going to protect it, how you're going to deploy, and if you can afford to move things out of the base to there. I definitely left the base 2 undefended. It forced me to move, and I made some poor judgment calls on Rebel Cell. So this means the next episode you'll see is Easy versus Grant, and that'll be coming out next week. Hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm looking forward to doing more of these later. Please like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys soon.